Hi guys, welcome to Now Watch 716. I'm Eric, and I am here playing Shadowrun. I'm trying a new experiment to see if I can play at night like I used to, just for a few hours, and maybe get through some of my single player games. Not that I have anything against Michelle. I enjoy playing with Michelle, but she doesn't. She usually goes to bed like decently early. Um, she's currently up and off screen, but as soon as she goes to bed, I'll put on some headphones and then turn on the music. Uh, so this is Shadowrun Returns, and I've already played it with her. I've already had her play through this, so no big deal. I really love the series, and so I figure I'll play through Shadowrun Returns, Shadowrun Dragonfall, and then Shadowrun Hong Kong. I don't know how consistent this will be, but we'll see. Again, I'm trying something new. I'm trying to see if this will work. So, and I'm also trying to make time before school kicks up to try to pack in some of the games that I have. All right, let's see here. Let me. All right, we're good over there. So I'm just checking audio. All right, it looks like we're fine. Cool, cool, cool. I'll make a new character and we'll get started. All right, let's see here. Boop. Did I download this? That's weird. I don't usually get mods. Maybe I'll play that afterwards. Weird. So this game was called Dead Man Switch. Well, it's called Shadowrun Returns, but the story is called Dead Man Switch. We'll go with normal. That's fine. Uh, well, making a quick character. So you could play human, elf, dwarf, orc, or troll. I think for this one, I'll just play a regular human. Street samurai, mage, decker, shaman, rigger, physical adept. I think I'll go for rigger. I don't usually play those, and it'd be something different. You control robots and drones, so now they get a picture. So the one of my we came up with an NPC that I really liked in one of our tabletop games, and we called him Roach. And then my friend played him, and then gave him a Russian accent that I really liked. So I think I'll go with that idea. And he also played him as a rigger. Um, so who? Oh, that could be like a Russian mobster. Oh, that's even. Oh, I like that. I like the sunglasses. Okay, so I think unless I see something better, I'm gonna go with that dude. Yep, that guy is the winner. Michelle, can you see this guy? He looks so 80s. It's awesome.
Yes, it's funny.
Skin tone? Is that what we're looking at? Okay, I can't. Oh, it's auto. It's based off of that. Got it. All right, continue the stats. Thank you for humoring me.
Kisses.
Could you do me a huge favor and lower it down to 71? I'm dying here.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. Karma. Karma's like XP that you can use to increase your stats. Oh, I can customize my character now. I got 8 karma. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Body 3, quickness 3, range combat 1, pistol, SMG. So range combat covers all of these, and if I don't know if you could see the blue lines over here, but this caps out. So quickness caps out how you can get your ranged combat, and ranged combat caps out how you can get your gun stats. So it all kind of links. I really like it. I thought it was very clever. I think intelligence is for decking or rigging. Um, so I already have access to the Class C drones. And I'm capped at 3 because my intelligence is at 3. So let me get the intelligence up to 4. And so that leaves me with 4 points. Let me get decking up to 1 just in case I need it. And then I got 3 points left. Drone combat. Add abilities and bonuses to Rigger's drones. I can add +1 armor. +5 accuracy. Oh, this is really cool. Yeah, I haven't really played Riggers in this that I recall. I don't really need willpower, spell casting, or chi casting. Oh, maybe I will get willpower just to reduce the magic attacks against me. Charisma, control spirits, chance to hit with conjuring spells, unlocks etiquettes that affect conversations. So what I got right now? New etiquette. And then new etiquette. Oh man, I really want to get charisma to 3. Okay, well let's look at combat because I'm probably going to get involved. What would this type of character use? Probably a pistol or an SMG. You know what? Let's go with pistol. So I'm going to go with an extra dot in range combat, and then we're just going to use a regular pistol. Aim shot, increase the hit by 15%, cooldown after 3 rounds. That's fine. And then we'll go with that. So I get an etiquette. Etiquette unlocks different chat options when you speak to some NPCs. How's the camera aimed? Let me turn it a little bit this way. Of course. It's a careful balancing act. There you go. All right. So it just means that I know more about this particular group. So corporate, security, gang, socialite, shadowrunner, street, or academic. With the type of idea that I have of roach, I think we'll go with street. And then we'll get others as we level up. Oh yeah, well, now you name them. We were already talking about roach, so roach. You can pan the camera by holding the right mouse button or using the WASD keys. Down and out. Your apartment, 3 o'clock in the morning. It's got 4 walls, a roof, and isn't on fire. Even the cockroaches have fled in search of better accommodations. Not exactly a runner's dream pad, but right now it's about all you have left. Running the shadows is all about feast or famine. One day you're Nova Hot, working jobs that allow you to eat at 5-star restaurants. The next, well, you're here. This one's a famine for the ages. Slag and Fixer hasn't called. The money's run out. Fixer is kind of like your agent who gets you like missions. Usually. And they usually get a cut out of it. And the money's run out and then some. Sinless and free. So sin is usually like your social security number. People sometimes have like, it could be a card, it could be a barcode like tattooed on. And different people have different ways. And Shadowrunners specifically tend to not have sin cards or brandings because they like to be off the grid. So they call themselves sinless. Free to starve in the cracks of a society run by Megacore who just want your Nuyen. Nuyen's the cash. Something needs to change, and soon. All right. Your apartment, the year 2054 or 2054. It's 3 a.m. and you've got nowhere to go. Okay. Oh, there you go. One of these buttons, Control or Alt. Alt. Alt brings up what you can click on. I use the mouse. And so we'll go over here first. Here's a slip of paper with your bank balance. Enough to cover you through the end of the week. All right, let's look over here. So this is my apartment, which is huge. It's your notebook, calendar, contacts, that kind of thing. Contacts. This is sad and dried up. Carter, Detroit. Fixer. No response to messages. Dowd, runner, dead. Felton Nash, Fixer, missing since February. New Larry, runner, dead. Sam Watts, runner, question mark. Probably in a gutter somewhere. Sangoma, runner, dead. Halfjack, dealer, retired or dead. Well, that's too bad. List goes on, and they're all either dead ends or just plain dead. All right, personal calendar. It's empty, nothing to do. Put down your notebook. All right, what else we got? Your vid phone rings, jarring you. Who's calling you at 3 a.m.? Oh, sure. Sam Watts. The screen leaps to life, making you squint against its brightness. See, like when I first played this, I love this because this felt like my own personal storyteller, like my own thing. And I mean, I played at night, kind of like this, and I just had all the lights off, and I just had headphones on, so it was just amazing. It was an amazing experience since I'm usually a storyteller for our tabletop games, so it was very nice to be a player. The face on the screen is laughing. It's Sam Watts, the guy we thought was in a ditch somewhere. Hey, buddy. Hope I didn't catch you at a bad time. He giggles. He's drunk again, or worse. Shouldn't have given you my comm code. Gonk. You're zoned. Where have you been, Sam? I haven't heard from you in months. So let's have Roach just give the obvious. You're zoned. Another giggle. Oh, don't bother with your side of the conversation. I'm not really here. Just one reason for this vid. Someone finally geeked me. I'm dead. I probably had it coming. Do you remember this story, Michelle?
Yes. I remember this part.
When you're an unsavory character like myself, you tend to associate with other unsavory characters who often partake in unsavory business. Like you, for example. So why am I dead? Who knows? Probably my fault. I like how he takes ownership before the fact. I would say after the fact, but he recorded this before he died. I wonder where you are right now.
Takes accountability.
It takes accountability. I take no responsibility. One of our friends recently said that as he showed up about half an hour late, I think, to a dinner.
Yeah.
I wonder where you are right now. I bet you hit a big payday and you're living high on the hog somewhere. Some of us are born winners, and some of us are me. Hey, you remember that Renraku run when things went to hell and we lost Dowd? Or that makeshift saloon on the docks afterward? I really had your back that night, didn't I?
Hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Right? I'm going to ask a favor.
I had your back. Now have mine.
Dowd. That's a name you haven't heard in a long time. You almost want to look away with that. Long time. Come on, man. If you're going to be like in a role-playing thing, you might as well be dramatic. 3 years ago, a makeshift bar on the Seattle docks.
Are you reading off the game, or were you just saying in general?
In general.
Oh, okay.
The night Dowd went down. I mean, half of what I'm saying out loud is what the game is. The other half is my commentary.
Like,
You're like, it all blurs!
wait, did you say that? Okay.
Sangoma or New Larry? Let's talk to Sangoma. Whoa, 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 hey! Thank you, Alistair. I appreciate the follow. Welcome. Do you like Shadowrun? Have you played Shadowrun? Do you have any idea other than this cool game that we just started? Let me know. Type in the comments. Or type in the chat. Or not. Do what you want. You're a free person. Oh, what did they say? Hoi, chummer! It's been a very long time since I've done anything Shadowrun. Sangoma is an urban shaman who proved her worth during a run against Fuchi last fall. Fuchi is one of the big mega corporations at this time. It changes over time. She's the quiet type, an experienced runner. We're out in the open here, Roach. Ready to bolt. Our fixer owes us for the run, and for Dowd, we wait. Late for another appointment, Sangoma? I like that last one. Sarcasm doesn't suit you. Let's wait another 5. Sarcasm suits this character just fine. It's how I picture him. So that's Sangoma. I don't know who that is. And New Larry. Oh, nope. There. New Larry. You've been running with New Larry for about 6 months now. He's a combat mage with a bad tattoo and a bad attitude. He knew Dowd almost as well as you did. Dowd. Never saw anybody Dowd like that before. Idiot. That's not a tattoo, is it? That's gotta be just paint he smeared on himself. I mean, yeah, that's gotta. It's just so discolored. I love the art. It's very stylistic. I'm jealous that I wish I made a game like this. This is simple in idea, but it's so well executed. Like this impressed me so much that I went after the other two games afterwards. I even downloaded like a little fan made DLC. He shakes his head. I hate this fragging city. Fragging. Uh, it's wet and the rain feels like acid, and I want out of here. I think at this time there is acidic rain. When I was running a tabletop, I had people who didn't have a home and slept on the streets test for damage against the acid rain if it rained. And since I was always in Seattle and it always rained in Seattle, why not? Shut your screamer about the rain. We lost a man tonight. We wait for the money. I get it. Now take a pill. Relax. So if I was a Russian con artist that worked with robots a lot, I would probably go with I get it. Now take a pill and relax. I wouldn't care about. Sure, Roach, sure, whatever you say. Hey, the other one's that blonde one there, Sam Watts, the dead guy. I don't know, Roach. Sam is a good guy, can hold his own in a fight, but he's been hitting the bottle pretty good lately. Never on a run, so far, but he needs watching. He shakes his head. That run went sideways 9 ways to Sunday. Now the fixture's late. Smell funny to you? That bastard better show. We need the money. What do you think we should do? Smell funny to you? Hell yeah, it smells funny. Look at where he set the meeting. This was supposed to be a public place. I mean, it kind of is, isn't it? It's an outdoor saloon. Cut the dreck, Sam. We both know why Dowd went down, and it wasn't the fixer or some other paranoid chip dream of yours. Sam smiles. Sam's smile? No, just Sam smiles a toothy smile. I've been waiting for this all night. New Larry has something he wants to say, don't you, Larry? Go ahead. Spill it. You were sloppy. He laughs. Sloppy? You think I was sloppy? You've been twitchy all day, son. Look at your hands. They're shaking. I don't know if Sam, you screwed up at midnight. You've been drinking, Sam? That true, Sam? Did you miss a beat back there? Oh. You've been drinking, Sam? I apologize for my bad Russian accent. On a run? No, not a drop. Not today, not ever. Something dawned on him. He leans into New Larry, amused and dangerous. We were set up, and he knows it. Don't you, Larry? What was that call you made before we hit Renraku? How come you couldn't geek that guy before he unloaded on Dowd? I seen you fling a lightning bolt, son. He should have been burnt toast before his gun cleared the holster. New Larry checks his watch, licks his lips. That's suspicious. Looks over your shoulder to darkness. He's looking for someone and it's not the fixer. Okay, I can see where this is going. You chummers are damaged. I'm out. Did you keep us here long enough, Larry? His where I can see them, asshole. How much did they pay you to sell us out, Larry? What would this guy say? I think he'd be pragmatic. Did you keep us here long enough, Larry? Et tu, Brutus? He stops and a smile slowly appears on his face. Looks that way. Sorry, Roach. I kind of like you. I just like money better. We've got incoming. Oh, she's been quiet this whole time. For a moment, I forgot she was there. New Larry relaxes and throws you a dreck-eating grin. Looks like my Renraku friends are finally here. They're going to take that hard drive off your corpse. Buddy. We should choose our friends more carefully, Roach. Yes. We should screen them better. At least we have each other. That guy was never my friend. Buy you a drink after this. Oh, because, like, we accused him for a moment that it was probably him? You know what? At least we have each other. You'll miss me when I'm gone. That's foreshadowing. I mean, it's not very subtle, but it's still technically foreshadowing. Leave the mage alone, is what they say. You are coming within melee distance? Oh, you a-hole. I got hit for 10 damage? And I lost 1 action point, or AP in this. So I love tactics. I love turn-based combat. And I really, really, really got into this. So, step 1, let me get some cover. Now, so right now it's following me. I'm going to turn it on. And it will shoot New Larry. Right? 99% chance. How do I do this again? I forgot. There you go, like that. Oh, it crit. Sure. Can we do this again? So, I got 99 shots with this gun. If you look here, there's a little hint of yellow. That shows eventually how much I got left. So the blue. All right. And then eventually I'll be able to have other toggles besides just a single shot. Oh, wow. Crit again. Well, got rid of him. I forget if I can shoot and move or if I'm just supposed to. Just in case, let me move and then shoot. There. Do I have any cover here? There. Is that Renraku security? Okay, Renraku, I don't recall if it's... Oh, and there's people on the other side. If it's one of the big mecha corps. Core. Alright, I need to get some cover, so I'm going to go... No. That's the drone. So I'm going to have the drone. You know what? Over here. Nope, that was me. Dang it! Hello. Is this your first playthrough? No, it's not. It's probably my third, but I haven't played this game in about, what would you say, 4 years?
At least.
Probably
5 to
4 to
10.
5 years.
No, wait. 7?
Maybe 7 years. It's been a long time. I really like it. I got hooked on it. Hello, Phasian Ascolkius. May I just call you Phase? It'll be easier for me. Thank you. Welcome.
I'm gonna call you
I see. I've replayed the Shadowrun trilogy myself recently. Oh, I loved the trilogy. I played this one about 3 times, maybe 4 times. And then I played Dragonfall 3 times. But I've only played Hong Kong once. So I'm trying to build up to it to play it as a second time. And again, I think Hong Kong, actually, I know I played Hong Kong back in 2015 or 16. Even if it was 2016, that's been 8 years since I played it. It's a Latin name of a bird called common pheasant. Oh, pheasant! Wow, look at you. Thank you for that education. I really appreciate that. Welcome, pheasant. Do you have a favorite class? Because I usually have a playthrough with a street samurai. I have a human character in my mind that I like to call Hex, like Jonah Hex from DC Comics. You usually play as a face street samurai. That's a good combo. They balance each other out very well. Any particular etiquettes that you like? And have you played the tabletop? Okay, first of all, get cover. Second of all, shoot. Nope, just these games. See, it's these games that got me to... That got me to look at the tabletop. I got 5th edition, I think, somewhere back there, but I also got like the early 1st edition books to check them out. Shadowrun tabletop game isn't that popular in my country. Aw, that's unfortunate. What country are you in? Oh man, I'm almost dead. Poland! Wow! What time is it over there? Oh, that got that taken care of. Alright, I need to make my way to that mage. 7 in. Good morning. So you just recently played the trilogy, huh? That's exciting. Yeah, I'm gonna get closer and hide. Um, and you play the same type of class the entire time? I could double move. I'm gonna have to just go over here. I need to get closer. Oh, both of them were. Well, that was a mage. That was a shaman. Okay. My poor little droid. Yeah, the same build in all the games. Wow, that's really cool. So, in your head, did you? Was it the same character continuing? Like continuing your own little story? Because that's what I did in mine for. Oh man. Okay, I need to find a way to get over there. Elf, high charisma, ranged weapons using shotguns and assault rifles. Wow. Wow. That sounds super effective. But like Street Sams always are like so effective. Okay, and that gets rid of the spirit. I'm gonna come over here. Um, what was your favorite part in this game? What is this? Do I have a second gun? Second thing? Oh, just unarmed combat. Boop. Kind of a crit. Ah! That was also kind of a crit. Let me come over here. I don't want to get hurt. Uh, yeah, what was your favorite part of this game? If you had a favorite part. Oh, and I loved the music. I think the music was amazing. Yeah, it takes an action to reload. Oh, I could probably try to shoot him. Nope. That's what I thought. Should I try to punch him? You know, in returns, probably either Stevie J's BTL house or infiltrated into Lestrian Industries and the Universal Brotherhood. All of those were awesome. I don't remember the BTL house, but I do remember Telestrian Industries, and it's all foggy. I remember. I know the Universal Brotherhood because of the twist at the end, and it did catch me by surprise. I wasn't expecting that. I didn't. Again, this was my introduction to Shadowrun, so it was all new. Sangoma lowers her gun, eyes Sam. You okay, Sam? Sam's breathing is heavy and he looks shaken. That was a hell of a thing. Part of life, Sam, you know that? You did good. You don't look so good, Sam. No, you did good. I'll give him a compliment. I do think, too, the mission design got better with every... Oh, I completely agree. Like, I was so impressed with the way they kept building and improving. I'm disappointed that they only made 3, but they were 3 amazing games. Dragonfall has to be your favorite story, though. Really? I think Dragonfall had that ongoing mystery that was amazing for me. But I loved going into Hong Kong and like that has an amazing twist. Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. Like it has that. It all builds to that payout completely. Um, this was cute. This was a great introduction. This was a great dipping your toe in. This also has a few twists, but not on the same level as Dragonfall. Like Dragonfall really refined it. And then I think they just did amazing work with Hong Kong, in my opinion, of building such an immersive area because they did that in Dragonfall with I think what was it, Berlin? I think this the city that you're in, but like Hong Kong just like is bigger, and I think there's just a lot more. Um, I mean, maybe they stopped at the right time. I don't know. I'm greedy and like I wish I had more. Me, I do this. It's the only life I know. Yeah. Well, you're a dumbass, and I'll drink to you when you're dead. Who am I kidding? I'm not gonna outlast you. Guess you can drink to me. More foreshadowing, kids. Oh, is that it? I like that we played through the flashback and they didn't just tell us. It makes it more exciting and it gets you engaged. You stare at Sam's face on your comlink, shake off the memory, and focus. It's also a good like excuse for a tutorial to teach you the combat. I had you back that night, didn't I? Now I'm asking myself, who would care if I die? Who would give a rat's ass? Better or worse, your name's at the top of the list. Maybe it's the only name on the list. With Hong Kong, I feel like they sometimes went overboard with some stuff, and I like the companions less than the Dragonfall ones. I I like the companions in both, from what I recall, and again, it was years ago. Um, but I think maybe I did like the the characterization was amazing, um, and it was a nice surprise to actually have a supporting cast. I agree with you like in all the points you're saying completely. Um, but I mean, it's not that Hong Kong is bad. It's just that Dragonfall was slightly better in these respects. So I set up a dead man switch to send you this call. I got 100,000 Nuyen insurance policy. Payable when you find who creased me. Alive with a conviction or in a body bag with justification. Either works. I also like how they incorporated more of the meta and like the tabletop story into Dragonfall now that I had a chance to read more about it. Uh, this one has bits and hints here and there, but like the second one, Dragonfall really went into it. Uh, in Hong Kong, it felt like it was a lot more like created for the game, and there was other stuff there, but it was nice. I think they try to be a little bit more original. Yeah, I don't think Hong Kong is bad at all. Like the fact that you can complete missions non-lethally is great. Yeah, I in every game they try to like develop something new, and the music, the graphics were better, the hacking was amazing, and nothing against Hong Kong. It's a good game. It's a great game. But I agree with you, Pheasant, that I think Dragonfall was slightly better in different ways. So I set up a Dead Man Switch to send you this call. By the way, this story is called Dead Man Switch, which I think is awesome. I got 100,000 million insurance policy payable. Ah, thank you, Pheasant. I appreciate the follow. Much appreciated. I'll try to keep playing through Shadowrun Returns and getting to the rest of the trilogy as I go on. Um, Sometime during the weekend. I'm not. I'll try for Friday nights, but I mean stuff comes up. So if it's not Friday, I'll try for Saturday. Not Saturday, then I'll try for Sunday. I'll try to fit it in somewhere. Um, Again, it's this is something new I'm trying and it's different. Contact my law firm, Rogers, Mendred, and McCain. When the job is done, they'll know what to do. He turns to his left. Chet, see, at first I thought, why does this guy who probably doesn't have much money afford a lawyer? But I also remember, when you know more about the game, you realize that Shadowrunners are hired mercenaries. So it's feast or famine. He probably put some money aside to get himself a lawyer and do all this. Understandable. Well, just play what you want. I feel myself like that's what makes the most entertaining streams. Yeah, I mean, I wanted to try this because I grew to really love the Shadowrun universe and the ideas, and I figure if I'm gonna try to play some games on my own without my girlfriend, I think I should go back to the roots and back to what I remember enjoying a lot to kind of keep me going and also kind of engage with the audience and not just have you guys watch me click, because that's also not very entertaining. But looking back on this and remembering some of this and maybe playing it again with all the stuff I've read and everything else I've seen, I think that that would give at least me a better experience and probably appreciation for some of the stuff. Um, so this is the lawyer, and then Sam uh, asking me to do a favor for him, and then I'll get a big payday out of it. I'll get at the bottom of this. Someone will pay. I traded a drinking buddy for a paycheck. I said my schedule's pretty clear right now. 100,000 new and buys a lot of drinks. I'd say I've traded a drinking buddy for a paycheck. Lately, I've gone back to a lot of RPGs too. Oh, that's cool. Any ones you'd recommend? I'm always on the lookout for like cool, different games. I've been drawn to a lot of indie games lately, and I'm wondering specifically like puzzles and platformers. And I don't like puzzles, so I'm wondering like, is it me or like marketing it really well, or is it just a really good game? Um, like my girlfriend and I, like I've been playing Guacamelee 2. It's a lot of fun. And really, that game would be harder if I was just playing by myself. So I'm really happy to be playing with her. So yeah, if you have any like recommendations for RPGs or anything you've been playing lately, I think I'd love to hear them. It used to be my favorite genre, but at some point I just stopped playing them. I don't even know why. I think over time our tastes just change. Like what your likes, your what with food, and maybe even like the things that give you pleasure, such as games. We just evolve over time, or just sometimes change for whatever reason. I wouldn't say it's positive or negative. I just think it's a fact of life. Arcanum of Steamworks and Magic Obscura is the one I'm playing right now for the second time. Really, it's an amazing RPG though, very obtuse when it comes to gameplay. Uh oh. Okay. Huh. I'll look. You know what? Let me write that down so I don't forget. I'll look it up afterwards. What is that? Arcanum of Steamworks of Steamworks and Magic Obscura. I'm not a big fan of medieval fantasy, weirdly enough. That's why I got into Shadowrun. But I'm willing to check things out. It takes place in a fantasy world that's currently experiencing industrial revolution. Ooh, that sounds interesting. See, that's a bit more engaging for me. I've got a locator chip slotted in my head these days. If and when my heart stops, it'll activate. That's how you'll find me. See you on the slab. That's cool. You could just track him. Guess I'm heading back to Seattle. I thought I was in Seattle when this started. Rest in peace, Sam. See you in Seattle. Well, Seattle can't be any worse than this. Guess I'm heading to Seattle. The Dead Man Switch. Name of the game. Roll credits. Your plane hits the SeaTac tarmac with a jolt. Welcome to Seattle. The chilly northwest rain obscures your vision as you step onto the tarmac. Before long, you're sitting on the cramped backseat of a cab, following the signal from Sam's locator chip into the heart of the Redmond Barrens. Organ grinders, an illegal chop shop for body parts, whether from the living or the dead. If you're hurting bad enough for New Yen, this is the place to sell a limb or an organ. It's also a good place to dispose of an inconvenient body while making a little cash on the side. This franchise is the closest thing the Barrens has to a morgue. Seems this is where Sam Watt's body has ended up. You open the door and are assaulted by the smell of death and bleach. Getting ready for bed?
Yep.
Kisses. In general, though, I play a lot of games. That could be considered old. Well, hit me with them. I know my girlfriend and I play Nintendo games, old classic Nintendo games every Thursday night. We're almost done. I think we're down to our 5 games. In fact, I already organized them into what order we'll be playing them. That I think will give like a good, like feng shui to the whole thing. And heck, those games are from the 80s, so that's what almost 40 years ago in some cases. So I loved this isometric view, and then just clicking where to go and the lighting. Um, this feels like a hospital waiting room, but I also love the wires and the cables and the type of lighting. What phosphorescent lighting. I've actually played the SNES Shadowrun. Yes, I have. I didn't beat it because I was an idiot and I didn't understand part of the game, but I got like through the first maybe third, and then it was too much for me. Meaning that the learning curve was a bit high, and I didn't really know where to go. I was a kid when it came out, so I am looking forward to, after we finish these last five Nintendo games, moving on to the Genesis and then eventually the Super Nintendo. And for sure, I will have my girlfriend playing the Shadowrun game. And it'd be nice to see the ending. Yeah, I had a similar experience with Wasteland 1. I really like Wasteland 2, but Wasteland 1 broke me. Really? Yeah, I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to do, and I felt dumb. And at the time, I didn't like feeling dumb, so I just got rid of it. I think I just rented it. I don't think I owned it back when you rented games. I I like this little news feed over here. I don't know if you guys noticed it, but like it talks about the Telestrian Industries and like big conference tonight. Yeah, see Telestrian CEO. Is that kind of foreshadows that they're gonna be involved in this story. I'm in the back. As soon as my girlfriend goes to bed, I'll put on some headphones and then I'll jam out to the music. How do you how do you change the angle? I can't change the camera angle, can I? Oh yeah, no, I could just do this. Smell of death and decomposition washes over you, only slightly masked by the minty fake fresh of industrial grade antiseptic. I'll also start pulling this closer and enunciating a little bit more, so that way my voice doesn't project and I keep her up. The last thing you want, last thing anyone wants, is to have my girlfriend out here roaring like Godzilla. Dresden, that's cute. I wonder if he was named after the Dresden Files, sci-fi novel character. I want to say John or James Dresden. My childhood involved playing a lot of the isometric CRPGs from the late 90s. A lot of Baldur's Gate 2. Oh man, I remember Baldur's Gate 1. So I mentioned that I'm not a big medieval fantasy person, but Baldur's Gate 1 hooked me. Yeah, I think Dresden Files is more of a. I think it's magic, modern fantasy. Which again, I don't mind. I just don't like medieval fantasy. Like, I'm not a big fan of Lord of the Rings. I'm not a big fan of, um, well, D&D. Nothing against them. Like again, I just mentioned Baldur's Gate, and despite me not liking medieval fantasy, I enjoyed that game. But there are exceptions. Icewind Dale, I played that as well because I needed to get my fix. I went to Neverwinter Nights. I played the Baldur's Gate game on the console, um, and that was amazing. Not the same, but yeah. And Dresden Files, yeah, it's more of a modern fantasy book series. I think there was a TV show for it too. I think it was good. I don't remember. Baldur's Gate and all those games made on Infinity Engine have very fun combat, and they're just fun. Yeah, I completely agree. Um, it's I kept pausing and doing turn-based combat. I loved it. I loved it a lot. I just finished playing Baldur's Gate 3 maybe a few months ago, and it was very nice to go back into that world and like see, and like they really did an amazing job with that. I've read Dresden Files up until Peace Talks, but I've heard the TV show's awful. Aww, I I don't remember if I saw the TV show. It didn't leave much of an impression, but it looked interesting enough. Like I think I've read the first book, and that's as far as I got. I was very distracted at the time. I love his grin, by the way. The picture here of this guy. I love the headset. I love the grin. I love the little outfit. It's just amazing. The design is amazing. Uh, Sorry, I didn't expect any visitors hour, and some asshole at corporate took my receptionist. What can I do for you, sir? You in the corner? I'm John Dresden, the organ grinders branch manager here. So yeah, that makes me this franchise area's corner too. You are? Roach, I'm here about Sam Watts. Represent no one you ever heard of. Tell me about Sam Watts. I think I'd go with this one for this character. It fixes you with a hard gaze. Careful, friend. I have a Lone Star here in 2 minutes. Lone Star is the name of the private corporation cops, like security guards, but like they're the cops here. They're the city hired out. Peace Talk is the book number 16. Wow. The most recent volume hasn't been published in Poland yet, and it's not a series I like enough to import. uh, I assume that they translate it. Like, I assume that I assume that the book is translated for the different countries, which is probably what the delay is about. That would be interesting. Hmm. I've always been fascinated about international publishing and like what what goes into it and how do you even like who do you hire? Where do you find other people who do that? Who translate? And what do you even need for that? Do you need a degree? Like how much would that pay? Lone Star is a double A corporation. I think that has been hired by the city of Seattle to be their police force. Not only Seattle, in fact, they're hired throughout like I think the country, or UCAS as they call it. I think was it? Yeah, United Canadian American States, because Canada and the United States kind of merged. A lot has happened in like 40 years, whatever. 2056, so in 30 years. Freaky that like we're gonna be there in this time. Sandman located tip embedded in his skull. I follow it here. Let's see, all right, he's here. Not too many people in one murder yet. Percent funding coming yet. Yeah, and the Barrens. The Barrens, Redmond Barrens. I don't know if all UCAS uses Lone Star. I think some cities use Knight Errant. Look at you. The security force of Ares. Ares is a AAA corp, one of the mega corps. And yeah, one of their subsidiaries is Knight Errant because Knight is the name of the CEO, or I don't know if he still is or isn't, of Ares. Yeah, look at you, man. Wow. That's some deep cuts right there. Yeah, led by Damian Knight. There you go. Who always played chess with Dunzo. Yeah, the Big D, back when he was alive. Yeah. Wow. See, in my head, I always envisioned Damian Knight as a mix of like Batman Beyond and like Bruce Wayne in the future, like using his tech in that way, being that way. Everybody portrays like characters differently, but like as a storyteller, that was always my idea of Damian Knight and what he envisioned for Ares. Just because I figured there's so it it's a cliche to make every every person at a corporation evil or selfish, and so I try to go with those gray areas and like let's be honest, Bruce Wayne is very close to being a fascist in most stories, so it wouldn't be that much of a leap to kind of transition in this way, especially if I'm setting him in the future. Like again, to me, it was like a mix of Batman Beyond, which I really liked. Uh, let's go with the Digital Ghost. I think Ares is one of the more moral mega corporations, although this is not right. They're all scumbags. They're all tyrannies. Like they're corporate tyrannies. But out of all the other, I mean, and you can make an argument for like the different ones. There really probably only are like 2 to 3 megacore that are like out and out like evil. I think. I remember As Technology was one of them, and I don't recall the others. But I mean, you can make a case, and as a good writer, you can make the case as a protagonist for almost all of them, as allies, erstwhile allies, or temporary allies. But you could easily make them all villains if you wanted to. It's not as yeah. See, As Technology, or Shiwase. I don't. I don't. I remember hearing about it. I don't remember hearing. I don't remember much about it. I haven't read the books in maybe 4 years. So I'm really trying to access the old data. I don't know if you've ever played the tabletop game Rifts, but that's what to me I envisioned when like magic came back is just dynamic explosions and rifts opening up, bringing magic back into this world. And took them about maybe 20, 30 years to rebuild society after that, after the dust settled. What's up, Dresden? He's my second Emerald City Ripper victim. The third one was downtown. See, I think Jack the Ripper is what they were trying to tie it to, and then Seattle is nicknamed the Emerald City, I believe, and so that's where they were going with this. Clever. Shiwase is the oldest megacore, a family business of the Shiwase family. Lots of unethical experiments, more than it's usual for most megacore. Like, okay, was it genetic modifications or was it cybernetic modifications? Or was it both? Like I said, it's slowly ticking. Because I remember at one time I memorized like all of the mega cores and I read into them because I wanted to write a great story for my players of something like that. I set them over in the Barrens, um, and I was going to call the campaign Ambition. Renraku is also quite bad. They basically embody old Imperial Japan. Yes, I remember. And Imperial Japan was not a nice country. No, unfortunately not. Again, we get very close to the idea of fascist governments trying to maintain power. USA, I think, does a lot of biotech, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's been a while. Oh, so even they remember it's a classic. Sounds good. So let's just go Emerald City Ripper. Not my title. That's what the Seattle Press insists on calling the killer. All I know is that, like the original Jack, our Ripper knows how to handle a scalpel. This one's even more twisted. He or she always removes an internal organ from the victim. How's that more twisted? Isn't that what he did? Is remove organs? Delicious trophy. What was it? Okay. The word shiwase itself means happiness in Japanese, by the way. Does it? I'll take your word for it. I studied Japanese for about 2 years, and I don't remember the word shiwase. But we could have just never come across it. And I know if we would have learned that word, that it would have popped out to me when I saw it in Shadowrun. I'd be like, oh, huh. But I believe you. I think it's ironic. Really? Huh. That's awesome. I'll look it up afterwards. But that's hilarious. I don't know if you know anything about comics, but like I'm a big DC Comics fan, and in the New Gods, there's a person from Apocalypse called Granny Goodness, and she runs like a torture camp called Granny Goodness's Happiness Home, and that's what this kind of reminds me of. The first victim's heart was missing, and the third had the spleen removed. Dresden, get out here, McCluskey. I like the name. All right, now that we have a moment, let's take a look at this. Oh, no. Oh, there you go. That was delayed. Sam's body is half covered by a sterile surgical sheet. His face is ashen white. I don't read a lot of comic books, but I have a friend who likes DC, so I know some things about it. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, I'm a big DC fan. In fact, I used to, because I'm usually a storyteller, I ran a lot of games in the DC Comics universe using the Mayfair Systems DC Heroes system. Uh, we ran that for 5 to 7 years. Uh, really, I'm a big fan of like obviously Batman and the Legion of Superheroes, but I know a lot about that world. I don't read a lot of fiction currently. It's not as enjoyable to me recently. I mostly read books about history recently. I love history. I was just reading about the different historical eras of Japan, actually, of their art and culture. specifically about the the third century crisis, Sengoku era. Um, I, I I wanted to expand on the Edo period, the Meiji Restoration, and a lot of that. I also was reading about the Chola Empire in India. Uh, uh, Fascinating, fascinating. I love history. Anything that stands out to you currently? Anything that you happen to like? Examine without spoiling it. Let's look at the business card. Reading a lot of history. Hey, yeah. I was reading about what happened after the death of Alexander the Great. What happened in India and the a lot of my historical stuff that I've been reading lately has been about southern India. What are you looking into? The Seamstresses Union, the cred stick. Take the cred stick. Yay! We'll say that that's an upfront payment. So the cred stick into your PDA, 300 new yen is added to your account. Let's look at the purple shirt. I'm at that period right now. Hey, that's awesome. Ironic that we happen to be like around the same time because India has such a rich. Uh, a lot of countries have a lot of rich history, and I love seeing a lot of that because here in the United States we don't really teach that very much. So it's fascinating and new to me. I had a childhood. I still kind of have a childhood friend. We weren't. We're not as close anymore, but we spent probably 8 to 10 years together, and he's Indian, and so that's what got me a lot of the fascination with the idea of that's what started to expose me to a bigger area. I'm at the period right now after the fall of the Maurya dynasty. But right now, I'm just trying to have a broad understanding of that country. Countries in Asia I know the most about currently are probably China and Iran. For me, would be Japan and well now India. Um, so I am fascinated with Chinese history. Obviously, the Three Kingdoms era. But I mean, that's such a common answer. Still, I love it. I love it. And it's funny that I got my first exposure to it through Dynasty Warriors. But that's cool. Yeah, China also has extensive history, and I don't want to belittle other countries or undermine because every country has a rich history. Yes, yes, I have. I read Romance of the Three Kingdoms. I played Dynasty Warriors first, and then Romance of the Three Kingdoms, the video game, and then I realized there was an actual book, and so then I read the book, and I was in love with the idea. And that one and Journey to the West, were two of the biggest books that like I read and I loved and blew my mind about the different literary art of the East versus what I was used to in the West. I know my brother wanted to read it recently, but he didn't have time, so I got him an audiobook for it. Still amazing, and it's been recreated in so many shows. It's been recreated in so many games, so many movies. It's amazing. Yes, although there have been more interesting history than others. I think interesting is a matter of perspective, perhaps subjectivity. Um, I find in almost every country I've seen so far, found amazing insight into some of their history and culture that I hadn't previously known about. At least for me, the history of Australia, for example, was not the most fascinating. I mean, but people are fascinating. The motives and ideas and what shaped groups of people, eras, what defined a culture for a time. The why do they do this? Why is that there? Why do they have this perspective? I think a lot of that, almost anywhere, the, you'll be able to find out great, beautiful stories. Sam felt terrible that we are, I assume, argue. We have been blah long to say I'm sorry. See you there. Love, Jessica. All right. I've recently started playing as Australia in a Civilization 6 game, which I am completely addicted to. I've played over 1,000 hours on it, shamefully. Again, because I love history as well. I usually tend to mute the Civ game and then play cultural, traditional, or folk music from that civilization I happen to be playing, kind of like to help out. One, to expand my palette of music appreciation, and to immerse me a little bit further. Yes, and I'm not saying that a country with less interesting history less valuable. No, no, of course not. It's just that it's not as interesting a story. No, for sure. Right? Like my girlfriend came out the other day. She's like, "Is that from the game?" And I was like, "No, no, no, no. This is." I think I was playing Bavaria, and so Bavarian music was playing, and she's not. I don't play that normally, and it sounded very good, and that's kind of what got her interested in it as well. But that's how I expand my musical palette as well. I have not played as Poland. I am a little embarrassed to say I haven't gotten around to that one yet. What's her name? Uh, I can see her. I just don't remember her name. I apologize. Her English name is Hedwig. Okay, okay. You mind telling me a little bit about her and like what made her probably the choice for the game to have her represent Poland? Since I don't really know very much about Poland other than I think, hmm, uh, Kiev is in Poland, isn't it? And very important, she was not a queen of Poland. She was right. I remember it was in her dialogue that she didn't that she is a king. Right. Why was that there? I mean, obviously it was a different time, and she wanted to establish who she was as an authority. Kiev is in Ukraine. My apologies. It was in Poland once. Okay, because I did read up about the history of the Kievan Rus Empire, and that was fascinating for me. So why did she call herself king? It's just that in Poland, the title of a queen is only for a wife of the king. I see. And she wasn't going to be just a wife. She was going to be the actual sovereign, the authority, if you will. Interesting. And I'm sure like that clearly made its mark in history. I do like the way they lean into typecasting in here. Have a good night. Sweet dreams. I will try not to wake you up when I go to bed. uh, Fascinating. Very, very cool. You are making me a lot more interested in the history of Poland and like playing as Poland in Civ 6. I haven't gotten around to all of them. I want to play as all of them. I just, there's so many. I think I'm currently playing as Australia, and then maybe afterwards I'll jump into Poland. That sounds. You got me intrigued. Definitely. I will say though, she isn't the most interesting of the Polish rulers, and I think she was chosen mostly for her gender. Her most important contribution was reviving the first Polish university, probably after it became financially destitute. Aw. I mean, I'm glad she did that. Education is very important. Um, who would you say would be a more influential Polish ruler, and why? So this new Rippervik, Watts name's familiar. Didn't his mother kill herself a while back? So he insisted at the time. Okay, so his mother was dead before he died. Right, I remember now. I remember the story for this. I don't want to spoil it. Like, we'll play it through, but I remember. There would be better choices for a female ruler, even. Really? Who would you name? So I could do some research and learn a little bit further. So now that Michelle's gone to bed, let me put on some headphones. So awesome. And let me turn this down. There you go. Cool, cool. Let's say your top male ruler that you would have chosen for Poland and your top female ruler. Uh, I would be interested to hear who you say, especially since you're in Poland. I mean, for America, I guess Teddy Roosevelt, Abraham Lincoln, sure. Like, they're, I hate to say it, but they're boring answers just because a lot of people name them. I wouldn't say that they're the best, but I mean, it would have been interesting if they would have picked someone else. Um, I mean, at least they didn't pick George Washington. That's a common one. But I mean, I don't know. Herbert Hoover, um, Dwight D. Eisenhower, Thomas Jefferson, maybe. The wife of King John Casimir II, Marie Louise Gonzaga, was not a king, but was a driving force behind the throne of her era, and her husband abdicated after her death. Aww. Oh, that's very sweet. Wow. That's very cool. I don't know much about Polish names, but she seems to be French. Casimir seems to be a Polish last name for the king, but Gonzaga seems a little bit more, I don't know, Portuguese perhaps? I could be wrong. I I should really. I think he hated. I think he hated her as a person, but respected her political talent. That's okay. When you could put aside um, your own emotional, I guess, feelings for a person, in terms of like recognizing what they do. That's big. Hey, hey, see, she was French indeed. Ah, because I know there was a lot of, I want to say, intermingling amongst the various European nations for marriage rights. And yeah, she would be an amazing choice for a female leader of Poland. I think that would make it very interesting and could add deeper layers uh, for possible like leaders and choices and dealing with like your infrastructure if that was the case. Um, I think that would be very interesting. How about your top male choice? You have it on very good authority, McCluskey. I've already posted everything I know. The killer stuns the target with a combination of drugs and magic and then removes a single internal organ while they're still alive. Oh, no! The perpetrator is most likely right handed with a slim hand that knows its way around a scalpel. Has a decent understanding of the human and metahuman anatomy, too. So I'm looking for a whacked out surgeon? Not necessarily. I don't know any surgeons who still use scalpels anymore. These days it's all done with computer controlled lasers. Could be anyone from a military field surgeon to an antique medicine aficionado. You're no damn help, dwarf. The Lone Star Detective finally notices you. You note his superhuman powers of observation. I'm literally standing within his line of sight. Who the hell are you? Oh man, if I had strength 4, I could choose that option. I don't have strength 4. I'm the nobody who didn't hear nothing. I'm new in town. You welcome to me? The other place was, nope. I'm nobody who heard nothing. That's right. If you ever do hear something, knock it right out of your head. Exclaimed Dorf. And in that obviously need to assert that I have nothing against. I didn't get the impression that you had anything against women. Hedrick was just not that important a ruler for Poland. Understood. I feel the need to clarify misogynist because being one is detestable. It yes, it also kind of limits the conversation for a lot of people. because it's a dead end. But I agree with you. I think like while I appreciate that they took the value in trying to choose the individuals that they chose and the nations that they chose, I think maybe they should have like instead of trying to be someone, choose someone that's I guess more well known or whatever they would of trying to choose interesting characters for a reason that could possibly be used to further gameplay. I think that's where they could have gotten a little bit more out of it, more layered in my idea. But that's just not the style of game that Civ was really leaning towards at the time. I have an interesting question for you, by the way. Sure, I love answering questions. Who do you think is the most popular U.S. president here in Poland? I have no idea. Um, my sole unfortunate limited idea of international relations between the United States and Poland mostly revolves around, I guess, World War II, because it was the invasion of Poland that really kicked off World War II, at least in our eyes. And so the president at the time was Franklin D. Roosevelt. That's what I assume. A hint. It was one between Lincoln and FDR. Okay, so it's not FDR because that's who I would have guessed. Oh, so in between Lincoln, who was the 16th president, but neither of those, huh? Oof. It couldn't be Grant because Grant was not the best in my, from what I read about well any type of social situation. He was rather curt, gruff. Uh, I'm trying to remember who the presidents are in between them. I don't know. I really don't know. My one guess was going to be FDR. If not FDR, then probably Herbert Hoover. Woodrow Wilson after World War One, because he was the great negotiator who tried to get the League of Nations together. I mean, it failed, but really, why is that? Does it have to do with World War One or the end of World War One? Welcome to History Talk, everybody. And also, why? Not that I have anything against it. I'm just wondering. He advocated for the independence of nations. It does have to do with the end of World War One and his idea of the League of Nations. Independence of nations in Central Europe. In fact, one of his famous points mentioned independent Poland by name. That's awesome. But he really tried. He did a lot of diplomacy and he had amazing dreams that unfortunately weren't realized with him, but did lay down the foundation for like what the United Nations would end up forming from. Um, he was ahead of his time in a lot of ways. And that's really awesome. I didn't I knew he was a diplomat. I know he reached out a lot to Europe and like really did a lot. 13. An independent Polish state should be erected, which should include the territories inhabited by indisputably Polish populations, which should be assured a free and secure access to the sea, and whose political and economic independence and territorial integrity should be guaranteed by international covenant. Amazing. Yeah, and I've read a lot about Woodrow Wilson and just the numerous amounts of acclaim he received as a diplomat. That's awesome. Do you always make friends that easy? No. I don't do friends. Guys is at the one side. Be straight with me. You're really going to work with a dead man? Seems really, I'm going to favor, job's a job, this one pays me. I'm going to bring his killer to street justice. Yeah, I'm going to bring his killer to justice. At least street justice. Fascinating again. Detective McCluskey isn't interested in anything but Detective McCluskey. He'd convince his own mother if it meant another 10 new yen a week in his paycheck. Plus, he's on the tank. I I did. Do you know why they call it new yen? Which is what made me laugh when because it literally, when you say it out loud, it it makes sense. Yeah, an honor after a fashion. I try to honor the dead in my work, so we have that in common. Yes, exactly. I never, because I saw it written like this, Nuyen. I was like, oh, like the last name, Nguyen. But when I read about that and that they made it the new yen, I was like, oh my god, how did I not see that? Ah, hey, you know a lot about the Shadowrun world. That's awesome. Well, probably because it's a lot more fresh in your mind than it is mine. Like I am really delving into the old data. Shadowrun is a tale of the era when everyone thought Japan would be the greatest economy in the world. It was developed in the early 90s, and in the United States, we had a big fascination. We were enthralled by Japan, which is like when we started to get a lot more anime coming over here. Some of the manga was starting to come over. There was a big wave of that during the early to mid 90s. I mean, and I can't throw rocks. That's really when I spent 2 years studying the Japanese language. Not for anime, but because I was fascinated by the culture. My friends who went with me were big into anime, but it always seemed a little bit too avant-garde for me, a little too, uh, I don't know, like student film, too artsy, and it was difficult for me to appreciate it at the time. Now that I've gotten older and I've had more experience and I've had more exposure to different cultures and different arts, yes, I do appreciate some anime. I appreciate different types of stories. I think a good story, regardless of where it's from or who's telling it, could still be an amazing story. It just, much like genres of games or music, sometimes you have your preference and it's difficult to try new things and give it a fair shot. If you like history, an anime I recommend is Legend of the Galactic Heroes. I have not seen it. In fact, I haven't watched much anime other than what my brother's kind of thrown my way. Legend? I'll add this to my list of the Galactic Heroes. You know, I have really enjoyed talking to you, Pheasant. I love the history, I love the culture, I love the ideas. I like the exchange of knowledge. Thank you for not only jumping on, but like speaking up and coming in here. It's thank you. I would not have predicted this tonight, and it's a pleasant surprise. It's, in my opinion, the best attempt at creating a believable history in a fictional world. Ooh. I, so my brother's working on a book where he's looking to establish his own like universe and his own ideas, and so I would love to see if this is really cool to kind of show it to him and go, hey man, here's an idea of what you're trying to do. Maybe take what works as inspiration and maybe kind of work with it in that way, see if it helps. I think that's a great idea. Um, I'll take his pain the whole stage, was because I said about his mother. Scalpel. Let's go with this one first. Have you heard of the Seamstresses Union? It's a nearby club in the Barrens that attracts lowlifes. Probably like it. But you're not really the going out type. Always too much to be done around here. Plus, the dead are just easy to get along with. In my head, he always reverts to this perpetual smile. I'm glad. And while I don't want to normally to advertise myself, but if you want to interact with me in the future, I stream sometimes. So feel free to come if you'd like. Yeah, you know what? Is there a way to follow you as well? Yeah, there you go. Follow. I got you. Do you have any scheduled days and times when you stream? Well, let's go first with days. Maybe I will. I'd love to return the favor. I always appreciate it. Uh, What was that McCluskey said about Sam Sweller? Official reported that she committed suicide about a year ago. You don't buy that? My name's on the report, but my actual findings have some doubts. I can't say that it was. I can't say it wasn't suicide, but there were unusual bruises on her upper arms, and she didn't use her dominant hand to pull the trigger. Currently, I stream every day. That's brutal because I'm a bit sick. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I'll take a break from university for a semester. Huh. I'll be going back to I'll be going back to university in August, the last week of August. I'm going back for my business degree. Well, two degrees. I have a double major, business administration and accounting, with a minor in finance. So I'm hoping to get my bachelor's around midnight CEST. I don't know what that translates to Pacific Standard Time, but I will look it up. This way, I don't forget. Because I don't want to just say, oh yeah, I'll check you out. And then I will literally forget about it. And then go, dude, I don't remember when or what time. I mean, it's easier to remember every day. Okay. So if it's midnight over there, it'd be like 4 p.m. over here, which wouldn't be bad. I wouldn't mind doing that. Like, it'd have to be on the weekend because otherwise I'd be at work. Well, probably Saturday or Sunday. Sounds really cool. What do you usually stream? Or what are you streaming lately? I had friends in the past from the US, so I know time zones there, but yeah, you're a lot more knowledgeable about our time zones than I guarantee you most of the people in the United States are, like, with most countries. Heck, sometimes even within our own country, we can't tell from Pacific Standard Time to Eastern Standard Time. It's 3 hours, but not, or what Mountain Standard Time would be. It's just not, yeah. I, oh, I could just put it on my phone. And then my phone can just tell me what time it is over there. That's hilarious. I don't have to memorize it. Uh, who still uses scalpels? And I think you just said, like, military. Slimy or Chop Shop still use scalpels? I wouldn't know where to look. Uh, what are organs worth these days? Okay, so individual. So you want a group package, not individual organs, which is weird. So these aren't being sold. But I didn't think they were being sold because if you're just removing one specific organ, then that's symbolic of something. That means something. It's not just for money. Where was Sam killed? There you go. Hey, look, I got XP, or Karma in this case. I finished a solo Heart of Fury, highest difficulty playthrough of Icewind Dale. Wow. And now I'm starting to play through Lego Star Wars 3. That's hilarious. I was going to look at the Lego series for the Batman series and the Justice League series. Again, DC Comics stuff. I was also toying with like the Lego Avengers one, I think. I'm in my 20s and Lego games are a huge part of my childhood. Oh, that's awesome. So I return to them from time to time to relax. I I remember playing the Lego Star Wars. I think the first one, maybe the second one. It was a lot of fun. They're very cute. They have like nice humor. Yes, I think it was. It could have been the second one. Regardless, I enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool. That's awesome. Do you have like a, a list of like what games you're looking to go through? And yeah, these time zones are confusing. There are three different time zones. There are. I yeah. Almost everyone here. I mean, if they're smart, almost everyone here just uses their phone. You input it, you input the city, and then you just swipe, swipe. All right, what time is it here? What time is it there? We don't have to like do the math anymore, even though it's basic arithmetic. But just people don't want to memorize what the time zone things are. Yeah, I get it. Like I remember basics, but I don't remember. Okay, is it -1 or is it -2? Uh, yeah, I'm in California, by the way, so Pacific Standard Time. I'm actually close to Disneyland, so Southern California. Oh, okay. So, oh, I was gonna say over here because I already had the Seamstresses Union. Or we go over here. Look at these. Lego Star Wars 1 is a funny game because it was the premiere of Revenge. That's probably the one I played because that feels familiar. Came out before the movie did. Yes, that is the one I played. So I played the first one. And we played it a lot actually. Where. Okay, so inventory isn't I. Is it this? Yes, it is. So here's Karma and here's inventory. Yes. Basic med kit, basic med kit. So heals 10, heals 10. And this is like a life. It resurrects you. Cute. Cute. Alright. Well, that's that. I'm not going to spend my karma yet. Yeah, I think the big pull for me at the time, again, even though I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, it's not the genre. I don't know. I just was never really drawn to the original trilogy. I thought it was fine, but I think like the Force stuff was a little overused. I just wanted to run a sci-fi game set in the future without the Force, and then I found that a little bit more interesting, personally. It had wrong music because the soundtrack wasn't given to them. That's hilarious. It has some things that have been cut from the movie, like Clone Troopers disguised as Jedi. I don't even remember that. I wish I did, and I wish I still had it, but I played it on console. I'm sure I could find it on Steam. That's hilarious. But that's awesome. It's like a behind the scenes of what an early draft of Return of the Jedi, Revenge of the Sith would have been. I always think of Star Wars as fantasy with sci-fi aesthetics. Okay. I was the other way around. I found it to be primarily sci-fi with some fantasy elements. The cold storage door opens to reveal a fully clothed body of a man, arms folded across the chest. In addition to sporting some of the brightest orange hair you've ever seen, the body seems to be in very good condition. So, for those of you who don't know, if you've never played a Super Nintendo game, this is the main protagonist of that Super Nintendo game. Which I geeked out the first time I realized that. Jake Armitage. I feel like there's actually no Star Wars. Everything works because it's just cool. Yeah, I mean, you have a strong point. I like the griminess of the technology. It's worn, it's dirty. Like you clearly see a lot of the cords. Uh, Something about that really endeared me to that setting, to that idea. Whoa, easy there. One quick move, he jumps down from the drawer and stands before you. For someone who just woke up in a morgue locker, he seems unfazed and pretty well put together. You spot a data jack drill into his temple and some shamanistic tattoos peeking above his collar. An interesting combination. Yeah, because that's what he was like in the first one, in the Super Nintendo game a long time ago. Man, I'm gonna see if I can include when we get around to playing the Super Nintendo game. I'll see if I can put a link in the description to tie between these two videos, because I think going from that video to this video, if you after we played through, would be really cool, or vice versa. You play this and then play that one. Star Wars for me is very strong visually in general. It's a huge part of his success, in my opinion. Um, yes, I think George Lucas had a brilliant vision and was very creative and pushed the envelope on like having a, a grand space opera. And I think that was something that we hadn't really seen very much. I mean, clearly it made its impact on stories, on film, on an entire genre. Um, and I think it's strong visual aesthetics, its sound, both in its special effects sounds as well as in its music, and the simplicity of the story itself in many ways. I know he took inspiration from the Japanese film Hidden Fortress and a few others, I'm sure. But I think the combination of everything put together really made for a beautiful montage, a beautiful collage of a mishmash of things. All the Imperial uniforms are black, white, or gray, and use very simple shapes. On the other hand, you have the Mos Eisley Cantina, full of weird aliens that are just there having the time of their life. I think he wanted to show the difference because like the uniforms represent order, control versus chaos and freedom ish. He wanted to show a dichotomy. I mean, and it works in a simple fashion because you look at one, then you look at the other, and you clearly know who's on what side. And using color theory, you subconsciously start to like be influenced because here, in a way, with the black, white, and gray uniforms, it's just like black and white and gray with no color. It's just it's a closed-minded type of thinking. The Empire is very Nazi inspired. Oh, definitely, yes, I would say so. But I would also say like the space fights amongst the ships are very inspired more, I think, from World War I and their various dogfights that happened over there with those type of planes. Nazis very much understood how to use fashion and visuals. Oh yeah, it's all about propaganda. It's all about getting a message. It's about because you want to unify a group of people behind a message. And yes, color theory works in that. Organization, social conditioning, fashion, as you mentioned, all of that really adds into it. I told John to wake me up at 6 in the morning. Is it 6 yet? Doesn't feel like 6 yet. You were just sleeping in the freezer. A freezer for dead people. Don't tell me you haven't considered it. Cheaper than a coffin hotel, and the service is just as good. In general, Lucas was inspired by history, or present times at that time, a lot. Oh, yeah, yeah. His previous movie, the one, oh my god, I don't remember the name of it, but the one with the cars, um, was inspired by his own life and his love of cars, his love of that culture. I mean, in many ways, like the saying goes, we write what we know. Um, and I get it. Ewoks are just Viet Cong turned into marketable plushies. Yes, I could see that. I mean, yes, a strong thing for him, I think, especially with that original trilogy, well, with all the Star Wars movies that he did, was marketing, merchandising. Um, and sometimes, like, while that is a necessity in writing, I feel like while you could marry that necessity with art, I think too often art is placed below it or sacrificed at times for that marketing opportunity. I think Lucas even confirmed they were based on. Oh man, no, I could see that. I could definitely see that. I think it's not the most informed view of a people's, but I could see him being inspired by that. I believe you. It's just I don't think it has aged very well in that regard. So much for getting sleep. On the plus side, I noticed you haven't killed me yet, so that's good. If you went after me, then what's your story? There's been you know, asked the question in the morgue, looking at the sandlots. Currency. There you go. Sam, eh? Glad somebody cares. We used to drink together every now and then. Same here. Over at the Union. Seamstresses Union. Decent enough guy. Always in trouble over something or other, though. Yep. When I rewatched episode 6 a month ago, after reading a few books on Vietnam War, the Ewok scenes heavily evoke how they become. Yes. Yes. We talk about how things don't age well, or like it was a different time, um, and I agree. I think kind of like how in Marvel Comics, the Punisher was also supposed to have been from the Vietnam War. I believe it was the Vietnam War. Could have been the Korean War, but I'm pretty sure it was the Vietnam War. Um, a lot of this stuff just doesn't age very well. Different time, different wars, different ideas. The small partisans, yes, using ingenious tactics to overcome modern technology. Not only ingenious tactics, but the knowledge of their home territory. That was a big thing where we, as the United States at the time, grossly underestimated the benefits of having a knowing your home environment and using it against others. Um, we found that complication time and time again. Um, Both in the Vietnam War and in the Korean War, we found complications in both. Because you're right, it wasn't just ingenious tactics was definitely the thing. It was partisans with very strong beliefs, um, but it was the knowledge of the environment that really gave them that edge. When we had at the time dramatically greater technology available than they did, but they held off as a powerful country. I mean, we took L's on both of those wars, in my opinion. I mean, we clearly didn't win. Right. No, of course, about the vision of Viet Cong, right? And I keep trying to verify that. I keep trying to also reiterate that it was of that time. It was not necessarily an accurate portrayal. Um, it was limited in its scope, but I mean, they tried to bring it to light. They tried to share some of it in their own way. I mean, obviously their hearts were in the right place, but I just don't think. Again, I just don't think it aged well. If taken with that in mind. John, is this guy cool? Yeah, he's on the level. Working for Sam, I believe it or not. Some sort of dead man switch. Let's check it out now. Maybe even stop moping around the shop all day. Thanks for volunteering me. He pauses. Might be sizing you up, but it's hard to tell behind those shades. Alright then. Name's Jake. You are? Call me Roach. Nice to meet you. Well, it sounds like you're taking a deep dive into the deep end here. John's right. I might be able to help you out. I was with Sam the other night, the night of the murder. Poor guy. He was hanging at Seamstresses Union. Again, bringing it up again. Tripped out and rowdy. I've been laying low there for a few days after a bad run. Mrs. Kubota asked me to throw Sam out, so I did. But out in the alley, some gangers got the jump on me. Damn, maybe I need a SoCap after all. John, could you grab me a cup? Get your own damn cup. My hands are dirty anyway. Now what's wrong with this intestine? Northern Vietnam was very good at propaganda, and while being a group of poor partisans fighting colonizers looks much better than being a paramilitary force controlled by a totalitarian state. Oh, yeah. Definitely. I mean, I think they proved that a strongly motivated um, in group with ingenious tactics and knowing the environment and weaponizing the environment uh, really, really puts the enemy, makes it difficult to fight them. Halloweeners, they're one of the gangs. I did this before. Okay, so you don't know anything about his death. Do you know anything else? I know they found his body a block away from the Union, just lying there in broad daylight. That's the Barrens for you. Same though. Wish I'd been there. If those slacking gangers hadn't come along. Tell you what, you look like you can handle yourself in a fight. I could use some backup to settle a score with those Halloweeners out there. At least got the whole gang searching the Barrens for me. I need to get rid of that asshole. Well, being constantly resupplied and replenished by the North didn't hurt either. That's true. They certainly had help. They certainly had a lot of supplies. The Vietnam War and the Korean War are fascinating studies because, especially here from the United States, is we leave a lot out. We don't really mention it too much. We mention the Vietnam War obviously a lot more than the Korean War, but we tend to focus more on the civil unrest here in the United States about the disagreement of the majority of the populace, of the vocal populace, of being involved in the war at all. And then we talk about the draft that was put into place mostly for Vietnam. Again, we don't really speak about the Korean War very much, typically in most general American education. We don't tend to focus on, ironically, Vietnam really too much. That's for me one of the most important things to understand about the war. All the fighting happened in the south, while North Vietnam was just there sending first help, and then just regular units of their army. Right? We couldn't push into the north. We tried. The best we got was just setting the line back to where it was in the beginning. Like nothing, nothing changed. Other than we got punched in the eye. We didn't get a win, uh, and we had a lot of people upset here in the United States that were doing demonstrations, doing civil unrest, and making it difficult for a lot of our politicians and government. I bought a book about the Korean War, but I haven't started it yet, so I don't want to make any uninformed opinions. The only see, even I don't really know too much about it. I know that it was a similar situation in that we went into the war, and then eventually, by the time the war ended, it just ended up being the same situation as it was before. So even though we don't often say that we lost that war, we didn't we clearly didn't win that war. And yes, that's what I was looking for in all my studies of Vietnam War. I try to understand the Vietnamese perspective. Yeah, I used to date um, a half Chinese, half Vietnamese lady, and her father actually immigrated from Vietnam, and we talked a lot about what life was like there, what went on, how it is, and I was just fascinated by his stories. Again, I think it's the people that make history interesting, personally, for me. So he wants a favor. Everybody wants a favor. Sure. I do like a bit of street justice every now and then. Alright. Too many people focus on Americans in Vietnam and not on Vietnam while they were the biggest victims of the whole ordeal. I agree with you. Even here in the United States, we focus on America, on us, and not on Vietnam, which I find ironic. We focus on how it inconvenienced us, how the draft obviously inconvenienced us, on um, how the environment was used against us, on how we were inexperienced, or yeah, inexperienced in what we were getting into, and how we were overconfident. But mostly, we tend to focus on the civil unrest in the United States and the different protests and demonstrations that went on. Um, when I was in high school and college, which was probably about 20 years ago. Maybe things have changed since then, but growing up, that really wasn't mentioned. The Vietnamese perspective was hardly ever referenced, if really at all. In Poland, there's also Vietnamese immigrants. I had a lot of friends growing up with that ancestry. That's interesting. Yeah, because that's a quite a bit west. Interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah, give me a pistol. Ta-da! I got my first gun. Poland is a predominantly white country. Well, you're Eastern European. The weather kind of works with that. But Vietnamese people are one of the only sizable minorities that you really see. Really, I wouldn't have guessed that. I had no idea. I know we have Vietnamese communities here. Clearly, we do. Uh, in fact, there's a little Saigon over in Garden Grove. And like I said, I dated a half Chinese, half Vietnamese girl. Um, and through her is where I realized that there was a big community. But we have a hodgepodge of different groups. I mean, obviously, Mexicans seem to be the sizable minority in this area. In some cases, even the majority, depending where you're at. So, ready for an evening out in town? Just a minute till the game goes first. I'm ready. You know what? I'm ready. Oh, you'll follow my lead. Okay, sure. Is there anything else to get over here? Nope. Nope. Really, really interesting. You are an amazing uh, diplomat for your country, Pheasant. I appreciate it, and it's really you're giving me a lot more information that I didn't know about. It was, again, I cannot stress how much of a pleasant surprise it is. And by the way, I don't take offense, but most Polish people would. Poland isn't really. It's very bad and something to say for most Polish people call us Eastern. I had no idea because I always assumed. I hmm. I apologize, and I always lumped it into Eastern Europe, but hmm. Wow. Is it because it was formerly Soviet satellites that formed Eastern Europe and Central Europe? It doesn't really have that reputation. Is that where the insults there? I I love the Redmond Barrens. So it's just around the corner in the alley. Uh, that alley? Okay. Does the bus stop here? No idea. Not exactly. Soviet satellite states were mostly in Central Europe. Okay. Eastern Europe was mostly just Soviet Union. I see. Yeah, because the Soviet Union pushed all the way to Berlin. In fact, they got there before we did. Like Ukraine and Belarus were just a part of Soviet Union during that time. Right, right. Yeah, people forget how far the Soviet Union pushed during that time. Okay. Huh. Well, moving forward, I'll remember Poland's Central Europe. Shows you how little general American education teaches you about geography. Not much. Especially international geography. I mean, we know some of Europe. We lightly touch on Canada and Mexico, some of the Far East. That's about it. Like we, our educational system could use a lot of work, specifically in terms of international consideration. Soviet Union stretched from Manchuria to Poland. Poland's eastern border was with the USSR. Yeah, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, frightening, frightening. I mean, both world wars had their own different sorts of shocking and terrifying moments, and I mean, I'm surprised it ended the way. I'm surprised that both ended the way they did. Um, Also, I was a little surprised that the USSR finally fell. Um, Obviously, learning more about the things that led to its fall, it makes a lot of sense. But from the outside looking in, from an American perspective at least, from an uninformed American perspective, it was surprising. Well, this guy used to be a shaman. What's your story? Vlad. Nothing, no story, nothing. Just leave me alone. I didn't see anything, I swear. What didn't you see? Nothing, I didn't see anything. I just need my fix, but I can't get it because of the big pumpkin heads. Pumpkin heads on the street, they kill everyone who looks at them funny. Calm down, Vlad. You're a shaman? I'm a shaman. What'd you see? See, yes, I saw something. The other night I saw a spirit, so dark, so alien that trails off and shudders. Where'd you see the spirits? Just across the street from the Seamstresses Union. Okay, sure. Can't hurt you. Go get some sleep. Where is the Seamstresses Union? That's the organ grinders. So this isn't the alleyway for him. Man, look at that hole. The fall of the USSR was mostly an accident. What started as a plan for some reforms and getting rid of some territory too costly to maintain spiraled very quickly. Well, also their inefficiency at managing their finances, um, and the greed of the political parties to like not they were too busy focusing on maintaining and expanding their own power that the individuals in charge were were blind to a lot of situations that made it inevitable, and things like as you mentioned spiral out of control. It's just corruption and greed. Hidden in the garbage strewn alley is a high-tech safe with a mag card reader on the front. Hey, Jake Stash. I got my drone and a medkit, and we're being robbed. Hey, bruh. Thanks. Think I have to use a medkit. How much health do I got? Oh, I'm surprisingly okay. Nope, nope, nope. There you go. On. Alright, let's. There you go. There was also a big problem with the leaders of the USSR being very old during that era, and three of them dying quickly one after the other. Yeah, when you don't have a peaceful transition of power, things can get out of hand very quickly. I mean, and they clearly did. Okay, am I missing something? Thought you were a shaman, bruh. Oh, there we go. Spells. Look at that. Boop. Dang it. All right, let's come over here. And come over here. There you go. You know what? Yeah. So, welcome to the Barrens. Guess I'll need to find a new spot to hide my gear. Same drug in every city these days. By the way, my current main topic to study when it comes to history is actually U.S. history. Really? Is that what you're going to university for? Or is that just a personal side hobby? I've been very interested in Civil War lately. Huh. I used to date a woman, a lady, who was from South Carolina, um, very much into the Southern perspective of the Civil War. Uh, I grew up originally over New Jersey, which is in the north, so I had a different perspective. It was interesting to see their perspective, aside from what we write and obviously the narrative that we give these days. Anything in particular about the Civil War that draws your interest? I mean, I think Seattle's an iconic city for Shadowrun. Done with deal with those Shadowrun, with those Halloweeners. And I assume they're over here somewhere. Is that the Seamstresses Union? I can't tell. Magic shop. Dandelion eaters. The man before you appears well mannered but nervous. Excuse me, sir, I don't know you, but you look like you can handle yourself in a fight, and we need some help. Okay, I'm already on a side quest, so another side quest? It's your problem. No, I study political science. Oh, that's still very interesting. But I like learning, and especially now that I have a lot of time, I choose topics to study by myself. That's great. Any specific moments or perspectives or events out of the Civil War that you're looking into that draw your interest? Sometimes we're checking on the market, and Lone Star won't get involved. Where is this market? Just down the street. It doesn't look like it's over here, but let's pick up another side quest, I guess. You know, I wouldn't go that way. Wow, what's going on? Halloweeners. Okay, so those are Halloweeners. Okay, so this way is Halloweeners. Alright, then let's go over here. Head dog. Commerce is like a weed, taking root in the cracks and crevices of the world whenever it can. A small street market has flourished here amidst the crumbling buildings of the Redmond Barrens. Look, mate, just pay up. Okay. Well, we barely have anything left. Not my problem. Pay up by morning or else. The issue of slavery in the South is really fascinating, and well, it was the main cause of the secession. Uh, yes, but it's an oversimplification of the situation. It was one of the only societies for which slave labor was the basis of economy in all of human history. I mean, there were slaves in other countries. Um, and I mean, there was also exploitation of the workers, such as indentured servitude. But slavery obviously is on a separate, on one side of the spectrum, and like all of these are on these sides. Uh, I mean, all of the documents of the era clearly state that slavery was a driving force of them leaving the Union. When the United States was founded, in terms of like the 13 colonies, there was already friction amongst the states. It was difficult to transition from colony to states when groups that were already more like city states in the Greek idea had their own culture, their own currency, and it was difficult to unify them. Slowly, because of industry, um, the northern states kind of had got banded together in terms of culture and idea, and the South also was unified eventually in that common sort of industry. Um, Having a difference of that culture and those ideologies was a problem, an underlying problem that added friction to things years in advance. In fact, it was that political tension that had Jefferson remove uh, the freedom and rights of slaves from uh, the original Constitution. And a lot of presidents, but before Lincoln, toyed with the idea but never really followed through with it, mostly because of the political turbulence it would cause. They'd try to make concessions, but it was still like not enough, and it just kept sparking. It was as much a it was as much about slavery as it was about uh, cultural identity, I guess. I read the secession declarations and the Confederate Constitution. I know that stuff. They thought slavery to be a noble. Yeah, it's a justification for a horrible thing. Definitely. It's an attempt at justification. Right, right. It was still slavery nonetheless. I completely agree with you, and I agree with you that at its core, that I believe that is clearly the motivating reason behind the Civil War. Um, but I think there's also intricacies to that buildup that had preceded it by about 100 years. In the it was about 100 years in the making. It was an it was almost inevitable that there was going to be some sort of conflict. I thought I was no, not gang. I have etiquette street, which is and I don't have strengths. I don't have the size. That's fine. What do we got? Bet your mom's real proud of me right now. I heard about you. Why don't you piss off? I have to pay for this most production news. You know what? Piss off. You ain't a Halloweener. Why don't you buzz off? Business. Dash. Ah, my poor little drone. Okay, turning you back on. You know, let's go over here. I don't consider everyone in the South at that era evil, though. No, and that would be an assumption, and not a very accurate one. Individuals, but as a group, and policies. My opinion currently is that the Civil War was caused by a particular political and social class that wanted to preserve and expand slavery, that deceived the general population into thinking one, slavery was an important part of their cultural identity, And two, it's beneficial for the slaves, to preserve their profit margins. Uh, yes, what was it being used as a means to exploit workers? I 100% agree with you. Oh, wait, why can't I act again? There you go. Oh, right, magic points. Let's try it again this time. Yeah, it's anytime. Oh, my poor little drone. Anytime you introduce money into a situation, uh, it tends to bring out the worst in people. It's always a fine line, and more often than not, people unfortunately tend to give into their worst aspects or try to justify their worst aspects. Look at that. All right, little buddy. Boop. Yay! Yay! All right, speak to the bullied merchant. Yay! Karma gained. Mrs. James. Can't thank you enough. I'd see Placebos, but would not take no for an answer. We simply want to make our way in the world. Hey, they can do. I'll take the money. All right, let's go deal with the Halloweeners. In fact, we just celebrated Juneteenth over here, which is a weird holiday to celebrate, in my opinion. But I mean, it has to deal uh, with appreciating the freedom of the slaves. Okay, I like the little symbol right there and right there. Very interesting. Oh, that's where I'm supposed to go. Okay. There you go. Halloween a property now. Is one of those two that got away. Wait a minute, you're rolling with Jake? Bad idea, chummer. The Halloweeners are collecting that bounty and killing you. That'll be a nice bonus. No! My little dude! I'm gonna have to fix him. I don't know how to fix him. I mean, boop. What? Okay, I need to get some cover. And well, it's also difficult to think slavery wasn't the main important issue when you read about Confederate officers writing home before Gettysburg that buying slaves now is beneficial because after they win, the prices will surely rise. Yes, uh, and I'm not disputing that slavery wasn't the primary issue. I'm just saying that there were a lot of details involved in that situation as well. It wasn't solely just one, even though that was a very big thing. Not every Southerner fought for slavery, but the politicians started the war for slavery. Okay, I I, I could agree with that. All right, so that's one down. Then we got what, these two? I assume it's just these two. Oh, and he's a mage. That's not good. Oh, thank goodness. Oh, okay, that's not too bad. Huh. How do I just end my turn? No? Okay. I don't. Let's let's go. Let's go over here. Yeah, I need to take out that mage. Oh yeah, I didn't expect to kill her in one shot. Boop. Oh, so much pain. There you go. Is that it? Nope, there's more. Oh my goodness. Okay, maybe I got a shot. Can I take a shot? Uh, I think a big problem with discussing that, though, is because currently I see a lot of people from the North thinking themselves superior because in the past the South seceded to preserve the institution of slavery, and if there's any virtue to be had in being born in the North. No, it's just right. I agree with you that people form identities for various groups and for various reasons. Um, I think a lesson that we learned, or hopefully learned, or tried to learn from the Reconstruction was we need to see ourselves as just one nation, as Americans, not Northerners, not Southerners. Um, and I agree with you. I think it does make it difficult to discuss actual history of that era, or any era, to be honest, especially if it's a sensitive issue uh, for someone who does identify in that situation, because then you mix in emotions, and that makes it complicated. But it shouldn't be something we ignore. It should be something that we should try to talk about without hopefully being offensive or like in my case, trying to learn and not repeat the same mistakes. Oof. I don't know if I could. Should I do magic? Damage is 10. Okay. Let me try magic. Damage 12. Oh, yay. Whoa, Uncle, I was just playing with you. I'll call off the rest of the Halloweeners, Jake. Call it even, yeah? What do you think, Jake? They're basically don't need second chances. Then lower your weapon and walk away. You know what? I'll take Jake's lead. He smirks. Hail Morty. Shoot on sight status with these guys. Killing John Paul means one less wiener to shoot me in the back while I'm buying smokes. Hell, I'll be doing the same to you as soon as there's a profit in it. Sure. All right, Jake. And by the way, in the past I also held less radical views on the causes of secession, but I changed my mind after looking into the sources from that era. I, yes, I think using the same comparison we talked about earlier in terms of like the Vietnamese, um, I think the more you look into their perspective, what they were living through, and what they were going through, the more the more human it becomes, the more, in this case, slavery was a bad thing. There's no arguing for that. Um, it's just we like to make justifications a lot of times, and we try to gloss things over, much like the same in the Vietnam and the Korean War. We just focus on other aspects, or just gloss it over in a simplification type of way, which I don't think helps us not repeat those same mistakes. Visit the murder site. But I like how, with new information, you were or are willing to change your perspective based on that, even if it's a different direction, different way. But I think that growth, I I believe that growth is part of what we should try to accomplish as humans is to continuously try to grow and develop, learn more. Dan the Donut Man. Not gonna get your trimmer. See a murder? Nope. That was close when it happened. It's the Barrens. I completely agree. That's why I spend so much time learning. That's awesome, man. That's really awesome. I love learning too. It's why I'm going back to school. It's why I'm reading and watching videos in my free time. Um, I culture, history, uh, uh, people, the cultural anthropology, social dynamics. All of that is fascinating for me, as well as Shadowrun. But I love the intellectual discussion we're able to have. It feels like I'm in a coffee shop in very Seattle atmosphere. I'm surprised it's almost midnight over here. Like 3 hours, 2.5 hours have zoomed by, but pleasantly. Like I've enjoyed this conversation. I've enjoyed this intellectual stimulation. I've enjoyed being able to discuss back and forth. Uh, definitely, definitely. I don't get to discuss this too often with the people around me. Nothing against them. We just talk about different things. But um, I love history and I love culture, and I realize that uh, maybe like the people around me have different interests and not necessarily that. So I'm glad because I don't usually find myself learning when I'm talking to my friends, but here I've learned a lot. I'm a bit self conscious sometimes, both about being annoying and about my English, the less than in the past. I, I completely understand, and I think you have an amazing vocabulary and a way of explaining yourself, and your English is dramatically 1,000% better than any Polish I would know, which is none. Unfortunately, I may know one or two words, maybe if I thought about it. I can't think of any right now, but you definitely have. You have nothing to be embarrassed about. I think you're doing a great job. I think you come off very well polished and very educated. And you're not annoying. I love talking about history and culture, especially with someone who seems very educated about it as well and passionate about it. And you have and your English is amazing, completely amazing. I am very much in awe. Uh, I'll give him some money. Sure. This is called Touristville. It's the nicest place. Ah, Seamstresses Union is over there. That's kind of where we want to go eventually. All right. Then there's a guy over here, and that's the Seamstresses Union. NERPS. NERPS is their generic term for like stuff, like the latest widget, the latest gadget. Hey man, feeling down? NERPS will help boost that right up. Hey, don't know what to buy your husband for Valentine's Day? NERPS got you. Buy them today. I don't think they ever defined what NERPS really were. I think it was just a generic term. That's why I really like seeing NERPS here. Soy calf is another thing that was also very common. Oh, okay, that's where we want to go. Yeah, feel free to keep chatting. I'm really enjoying the discussion, and it's helping pass the time really quickly. Thank you. I spent literally 20 years studying English. Wow, it shows. Like very much so. I would have honestly, like, if you would have told me you're from the United States and you're in the United States, I would have believed you. There is no hint. Your grammar structure is great. Your spelling is amazing. Uh, yeah, and you're very loquacious. As well as, and I know it's good, but when you learn a foreign language, yeah, in a school setting, and you're judged on every single little mistake, it's hard not to be hard on yourself. I understand. I Spanish was my first language, and then I taught myself English. But it's been so many years that I don't really think about it anymore. Of that, English is technically my second language, but it feels like Spanish is my second language. Um, I also spent about 2 to 3 years learning Japanese, but even then, I don't feel comfortable enough to have like a full-on conversation. I practice it only by reading from time to time. Uh, but I would like to spend more time brushing up on. Again, I have no one around me to speak Japanese with, so without practicing, it makes it difficult to refine or remember that language. That's why you have all the foreigners starting messages or comments with, "Sorry for my bad English." It's not fishing for compliments. It's just an effect of learning a language at school. I I understand, and that's unfortunate because you're right. It really does make you self conscious. It really impacts your self confidence, um, which I think is a hindrance. Uh, but I mean, some Americans aren't good at English either. um, you manage to communicate what you're looking to communicate, as I understand it, very well, and in a way that, to me, I have the impression you're very well educated, and that's impressive. I'm glad. Maybe I should make more friends who are highly educated, and maybe I enjoy these type of stimulating conversations a bit more often. I also speak a third language a bit, which is German. Oh, guten Tag. I don't know very much German, and I'm a little embarrassed to say I learned most of it from Captain America comics, but a little bit here and there. I know it's probably a handful of words. I did, on a whim, start learning a little bit of the Tamil language. I believe it's from southern. It's a dialect from southern India. Um, I was just getting into their early alphabet, and I was looking at their writing as well, their alphabet as well as some of their words. Um, I also took a little bit of. I was picking up a little bit of Russian. I think southern India and Sri Lanka. Probably. I have a friend who speaks Tamil, and so I was interested in using that as an opportunity, since I have someone to communicate with, to then kind of practice that. But I also have another friend that speaks Farsi, and I would also be interested in that. I think I should make more friends who speak foreign languages as an excuse to like learn that language. Well, I mean, obviously, also have a friendship, and there's value in that in and of itself. But multitasking, I, I'm fascinated with language as well. Oh, I got it. Oh, hey, he paid me. This is where we part. That's cool. Good luck out there. I learned a bit of Welsh in the past because it's one of the only living Celtic languages, and I was curious about it. I was looking into it years ago, and I want to say probably 20 years ago. Um, it was for a role playing character, and I use it as an excuse to delve a little bit more into Celtic culture, mythology, ideology, and even some of the language. But the language really was difficult to wrap my head around because of the conflict of the way it looks versus how it's pronounced. They were very different, and so uh, that was very difficult for me. But I learned a lot about like the Morrigan, specifically was what I was looking into, and a lot of their druidic practices. What did you enjoy looking into it? Pop into the Seamstresses Union. Down the street. There you go. Awesome. That's where I'll be able to hire other Shadowrunners too. Welsh has a big problem with the pronunciation not being difficult, but being confusing. Because letters that are consonants in English are vowels in Welsh. Right. Right. And for me, seeing it and wanting to pronounce it a certain way that goes in conflict with what I've already learned or am accustomed to uh, is where my difficulty of picking it up uh, came from. Um, yeah. Anything in particular that you uh, enjoy about it? Or either the culture or the language, or the history, or the mythology? He vanishes into the night. I mean, that's not as dramatic as stepping into the shadows and disappearing. William? The bright yellow police tape cuts through the darkness, directing your eyes to the white chalk outline and dark red stain marking the slab of pavement where Sam Watts died. Standing at the entrance of the alley is a Lone Star officer. The cop looks cold, hungry, and irritated at the homeless man who's currently pestering him. I keep telling you, I need to get my stuff from the alley. I'm going to die in the cold tonight. Officer sighs. And I've been trying to explain to you that this is an official Lone Star investigation, and I can't let anyone in here. I was a bit interested in the evolution of Indo-European languages. Okay. Okay. There's a lot of cross um, cross speaking, cross pollination, I guess, uh, exchanges of culture and ideas. When it comes to religious mythology, my main interest remains Zoroastrianism. I was just talking about that. The precursor to in ancient Persia. She was talking about the difference of Zoroastrianism versus Islam in terms of the when Islam swept over most of the Middle East and Northern Africa, and parts of Europe, um, and practically eliminated Zoroastrianism in those same areas. I don't remember. Was Lone Star named because the headquarters is in Texas? Or was it something else? I keep thinking it was headquartered in Texas. I also, yeah, Zoroastrianism is nowadays mostly practiced in India. It is very, very interesting. I looked into it when I was looking into monotheistic religions and ideals, specifically as a precursor to Judeo Christianity, and perhaps some of the aspects that helped influence and shape Judeo Christianity. You don't know the original Lone Star's name? I I thought it could just be Lone Star, and Texas is known as the Lone Star State as a nickname. Um, maybe that's where I'm confusing it, but it's been a long time. got rights. Look, you sinless garbage, I got a job to do. Find a new blanket, or I'll find a reason to use my stomaton. Talking about the British Isles, I also looked into Mithraism, which I found also very interesting. Typical, I hate all you pigs. Zoroastrianism had some influence on the Jewish religion, which wasn't Judaism as we know it yet, but they are very different in axiology. Right. Isn't Zoroastrianism more about the dichotomy of the light and the dark? Oh man, it's been a long time. No, Carter. Thanks. Lights up as he takes a sip. He seems to be trusting for an hour. You know, when I was a cop, I was back when the conversation was recurring. So folks were about car all the time. But I ain't seen until now. What can I do for you? Ah, yes, Mithraism. The weird bastardized offshoot of Zoroastrianism. Yeah, I knew there was like some similarities. Because I remember when I stumbled on Mithraism, I was like, this feels very familiar to Zoroastrianism. The historians nowadays aren't sure really exist. Really? I thought there was archaeological evidence of Mithraism, at least in the British Isles, like temples and such, and carvings. I thought I saw a documentary of excavation of Mithraic temples. The documentary was using it as an example that Christianity used examples or was influenced possibly by Mithraism in its development of the Jesus Christ figure. That was the agenda. That was the motive of that documentary that I saw. Sure. I didn't think he would just let me go. If I was just blatantly honest that I'm here to look into the murder. I'm just a dude. Well, thank you. You said you wanted something, right? You, copper organs cups. Sinless. Zoroastrianism is about the duality of good and evil. Right. Well, I mean, wasn't it light and dark? But yes. The conflict between them and the human free will to choose between them and playing an active role in that cosmic conflict. That reminds me a little bit of Hinduism and the concept of like Maya, and in terms of that reality is just an illusion, and trying to find the truth either through the illusion or amidst where we are. But I mean, here being able to choose what side you want to fight on. He didn't see the murder. Big ugly troll in green hospital scrubs snooping around the block. Mithra is one of the Yazata in Zoroastrianism. Yazata translates literally to worthy of worship. They're akin to angels. He's the being representing light and oath. Wasn't he also referred to as the lion? I, I, again, I saw so much, I'm afraid that I'm blurring my information. Um, got captured by elves. The elves did experiments on him. Never trust one of them cyber people. All right, you leaving this alley? All right. Thought you would have mentioned his stuff, but Amidst the shards of glass in the bright lights, you find a small piece of glass which looks like the bottom of a test tube. Okay. Weird. Coat and blanket. He was trying to get back. Let's pick up the coat and blanket. Print a receipt falls off beneath the folded blanket. It's a bar tab receipt from the Seamstresses Union dated 2 days ago, 3:02 a.m. Right on the corner report time of death. The customer, Sam Watts. Server's name is listed as Coyote. In Zoroastrianism, though the world clearly is real, and both the material and immaterial worlds have good and bad in them, unlike Manichaeism that proclaimed that material is evil and immaterial is good. There was a lot of there's a lot there was a there were other religions and ideologies that also believed that the material world was evil. I think that was a common theme that I've seen. Interesting. So both the material and immaterial have good and bad in them. Okay. Which I assume are aspects of that fight between good and evil. Again, a dichotomy. It seems like a dichotomy. Hey, look at that. King Karma. Doing a good deed. This work like is new. You can see that all of the alley's normal lights have been ruined. Goes perspective that they've all been imploded. As if some foreshadowed them all at the same time. Okay. But Zoroastrianism and Hinduism definitely have the same root. Given the interesting thing that in Zoroastrianism has Ahura as the title of the main good deity, and Deva is a demon. And in Hinduism, there are evil Ashura and good Deva. Right, actually, I I was I played in a role playing game, a tabletop, Vampire the Requiem, where one of the there's 5 clans of vampires, and one of them are the Deva, and they're very, I guess, demonic in a way of their hindrance is that they have to fulfill their vice. In their first edition, in second edition, I think things have changed. From what I heard, things have changed. I haven't read all of second edition yet, but interesting. And yeah, growing up with my friend who is Hindu, I heard about the Yashura and the Deva. Fascinating. 2 distinct footprints. A human's ending at the Chuck Island and a larger set possibly the Orc Control, falling just beyond the first. Alright. Objective completed. I don't know Requiem almost at all. I almost preferred Vampire the Masquerade. See, when I was in high school, I got into Vampire the Masquerade, and it blew my mind. I went into deep end. I got tons of books. In fact, whole bookshelves full of books about Vampire the Masquerade. It was in I was in college when Vampire the Requiem came out, and at first I was hesitant because I mean you're used to something obviously, but when I read more about Requiem, I was blown away. It felt a lot like Vampire the Masquerade was like high school, and Requiem was more like a college course. They took some of their core concepts that they learned and they just took it to another level, both in my opinion, in setting and in game development style. I was very impressed with Requiem, at least the first edition, and I played that a lot. I played about 8 years of Masquerade, and I played like maybe 6 or 7 years in Requiem, but I once I played Requiem, maybe after the first year, it was very difficult to go back to Masquerade. It just felt like going from a Super Nintendo game to a Nintendo game. While there are aspects in some games that I like about the Nintendo, it it was just 2 buttons. A lot of the a lot of the controls and gameplay were very simple, and the Super Nintendo had 4 buttons and the 2 trigger buttons, and story wise was just a lot more developed. Most of their games tended to be a lot more developed. That's kind of how I felt about Requiem and Masquerade. And I mean, while I'll go back to play a Masquerade game or write a Masquerade game for people for nostalgia, personally, I prefer Requiem. I can only comment on the lore, by the way, because I haven't played either tabletop game. Well, they have their games, and I think they have some visual novels on Steam. Here you go. Have the code blanket. My stuff. I'm trying to just look at the time. Is it really 2 hours and 40 minutes? Because I think I was going to play from 9:30, 3 hours, 10, 11, 12, so 12:30. Wow, it's almost 12:30. I'm very surprised. This has gone by very quickly. But I appreciate the conversations. I cannot stress that enough, and I apologize if I get repetitive. But this has clearly been a nice surprise. There's someone that wants to talk to me here. Sally. I played Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, but a video game and a tabletop game are very different. They are. I mean, the lore is somewhat similar. I played Vampire the Masquerade Redemption, uh, and that was fun at the time. Now it's difficult to get through. I tried to play Bloodlines, but first person view gets me very nauseous. I kinda yeah, kinda yeah. I'm sure I can see that. You went from the dark ages to the modern times. Was it? Yeah, I tried the third person mode, but even then the camera was too shaky, or the movement was shaky. Whatever it was making me very nauseous, and I typically only get that from first person games. And so since this was a third person, I thought it would be better. It didn't help. The problem is though is that it requires fan patches. Actually, I believe the Steam version already has that included in the game because I don't believe I had to get that. The games was very unfinished, full of problems. Yeah, I saw that. I actually looked up a documentary about it, and a fascinating documentary, and how the fans kept fixing it and improving it, and actually over time, the game actually was appreciated a lot more because of the hard work of the fans that did all that work. Close, come back tomorrow. I think it doesn't. It's playable, but it doesn't include the fan patch. Maybe maybe I did look online and download the fan patch to be able to play it, but I didn't get very far. I got as far as fighting the Sabbat or getting through the Sabbat. Um, but once I managed to get out of there, I was too nauseous, unfortunately. Didn't get look at him unless yeah, all the lights exploded. Sure, thank you for your time. I like the different perspectives on this mystery of what happened. It, it really helps carry it through. I want to figure out. So I do art, and I want to work on Photoshop to see how I can do these overlays of neon. And I think I'm pretty sure that there's lots of um, guides on YouTube, kind of walking you through that. And I think I just need to find the time to sit down and try it because I would love to do some of this type of work. Arcanum, by the way, mentioned by me earlier, was made by the same studio, Troika, and also requires a fan patch to be more joyful. Oh man, Troika, what are you doing? Although that game you can finish without a fan patch at least. Oh, that's good. But the gameplay is more akin to older Fallout games. Okay. Tim Kaine was the lead designer for both Fallout and Arcanum. Interesting. I haven't played Fallout. I think that originally came out for the Xbox, didn't it? Because I had a PlayStation, and at the time it was either or. I haven't even seen the Fallout TV series. I heard it was very good. Was it a PC game? You know what? I didn't get into PC games until probably, I want to say probably like 99 or 2000, because I didn't have my first computer until probably 96. And even then, it was a family computer and it was meant for school, so I couldn't really get games. I think it was until like 99 or 2000 that I really got into it. You still haven't owned a console. Well, I mean, with the computer doing so much nowadays, like I have a PlayStation, well, 4. I have a PlayStation 4, I have a Switch, and a PlayStation 3. And I haven't bought a PlayStation 5 because I haven't touched those in the 3 years I've been living here. I've been playing games on here. Hey, hey! So in Shadowrun, drugs are a thing. And ta-da! Here's combat stamp, strength and willpower. And then you're at a -2. No, I'm good. I'm good. I don't think I need it as a rigger. I mean, I'm used to playing on a console. I grew up playing on a console, so it took me a bit to play on the computer. But I mean, I got used to it now, and I enjoy it. The Seamstresses Union. See in the background? Nerps. By the way, that logo there was the logo for Shadowrun for a very long time. I don't know if it still is, but that was their logo for quite a bit. Fallout 2 came out in 99, I think. Yeah, I think in 99 or 2000, the first game I had was The Rise and Fall of Ancient Empires. And that's what got me hooked on games. Because I remember in between, I would make a turn, and while I was waiting for the turn to process, which could take, I don't know, anywhere from 2 minutes up to like 5 minutes of just nothing happening on your screen, I would read my textbooks and do my college work. So I didn't really get into fun games until probably 2005, 2004. And that's because the girl I was dating was big into MMOs and got me into World of Warcraft. And then shortly after that, I got into Civilization. So I didn't have anyone around me that was a big Fallout person at the time. And aside from the show that just came out, which I've heard nothing but good things, I've seen, I think, the first 20 minutes of the first episode. And I was impressed. I liked it. Have you seen the show? All right, so we got a whole bunch of people we can talk to. Well, a whole. We got two. We got two people. So I would always recommend, if you're playing this, to check out the ticker that's going on over here. The first games I've played were Lego Star Wars, the video game, Rome Total War. I wanted to get into that, but I was never a big fan of real time strategy games because like too much was happening at the same time, and I was just panicking, which is why I got into turn based strategy. But I remember I looked at Rome Total War so much, and I wanted to get it. To this day, I still haven't even played the Total War series. Planescape Torment, I think I actually have that on Steam. I haven't played it yet, but I got it because it was so similar to Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. That's really cool. You got a nice little hodgepodge there of types of games. I haven't, but I haven't really experienced the newer Fallout games as well. Okay. I've heard good things about Fallout 76, I think, from the people who like Fallout. From my friends who like Fallout. Lone Star concerned for public safety. Okay. Total War is a good series because it's only tactics that's real time. Strategy is turn based. Yeah, I got used to uh, turn based. Uh, I I would like to try real time, but I would have to kind of gradually give it a shot. Just because I've been so spoiled with turn based. Okay, I haven't played StarCraft, but I've seen StarCraft, so I know what you're talking about. Or I think I know what you're talking about. Actually, it wasn't just Rome recently. I just saw something that almost got me to get it, and I think it was because they had uh, the what was it? Was it the Romance of the Three Kingdoms on Total War? Maybe that was it. It was something like that. Yeah. That's what I saw. That's what almost got me to buy it, even if I'm not comfortable with real time strategy. Seeing that is what got me. But looking at the reviews, people were saying that it never really gets into that period. It dips into it. It talks about it, but it never like you never play through the whole period. But I mean, if it's a great Three Kingdoms game, heck, that's what I saw. That's what I wanted. That's what almost convinced me to get it. Just on that idea, it was reading the comments and the reviews that got me to kind of reconsider, which scared me off. That and the fact that real time is something I'm not used to. It's just before the Three Kingdoms were formed, but it's the fall of the Han era. Okay, okay. It's not the whole period, but it's something. I know I recently bought Dynasty Warriors because I wanted to kind of give my girlfriend a crash course on the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, and I know it's like showing her a cartoon essentially, but it's something. The base game starts at 190 after the Dong Show burned Luo Yang to the ground. Interesting. Interesting. It very tempting. Very tempting. I will really reconsider it. I'll check it out again. Maybe if it's on sale, I might just take the plunge. Total War games are very much sandbox games, set in a particular place at a particular time, and that's cool. I mean, Civilization Six is the Civilization series. It is very similar in that it's also a sandbox that goes over a span of time. Ooh, extra outfits. I don't know what I currently have on, but this is armor 4. Armor 4, HP plus 3. Armor 3, dodge plus 1. Oh, and while I mostly auto resolve battles, I mostly focus on the campaign and on lower difficulties. There's no problem. Okay, maybe that's what I'll do. It's just auto resolve battles and lower the difficulty. And the campaign map is turn based. Okay, so maybe this is like a halfway there to kind of allow me to take baby steps in that direction because I, I like to expand my current scope of games, but I'm always concerned that I'm just wasting my money and I'll lose interest. I think the premise is intriguing enough because I love the Three Kingdoms era. Um, I think that will help kind of maintain it. Armor 3, Grass Intelligence plus 1. Ooh. Charisma plus 1. But that's armor 2. The armor 4 would be very nice. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go with Alley Punk. If you want to check out some gameplay more, a YouTube channel called Serious Trivia has a lot of good Three Kingdoms gameplay. Ooh, I'm gonna look them up. You're giving me a lot of stuff to look up. It's awesome. YouTube. What we got? Serious Trivia. And if it's well presented, I love to like always keep presenting new stuff to my girlfriend and sharing it with her, because much like me, she also got general American education that doesn't really cover a lot. Three Kingdoms. And look up Total War again. Thank you for the recommendation. Yeah, I'll check it out and see how the game plays out. And I know there was some history stuff, some cool animated, like history lessons on YouTube. Yeah, equip. There you go. And then I'm just gonna sell that. Yeah, can I sell? Take a look. There you go. Sell items. Boop. Sell. There you go. It was just outfits, right? It wasn't like weapons. Oh man, I think it's just outfits. Yeah, it's just outfits. Okay, someone else does weapons. Cherry bomb. Were you asking or recommending something because I didn't understand? Oh, I apologize. No, I was saying thank you for the recommendations. I was just writing down what you what you had listed over there, so that way I could look it up. I was asking. I remember seeing something animated, like a history thing about the Three Kingdoms, um, kind of going into giving a summary of it. I guess. And I'm sure there's lots of YouTube stuff over there. I wanted to show it to my girlfriend, and I just don't recall. I was musing out loud, and if you happen to have no one off the top of your head, I'd love to try it out. But I think there you go. I think it was oversimplified that I saw, because they have a whole bunch of different ones, don't they? I think I went down that rabbit hole for quite a bit. It wasn't that historically accurate. I Either I wasn't paying too much attention, or huh, huh, interesting. No, I think she's away on business. Coyote, huh? Is she a shaman? No, she shot a coyote once, thinking it was a shaman who double crossed her. We've been calling her Coyote ever since. She's been missing since yesterday. Some people think the Ripper got her, but I know her. Coyote can take care of herself. Serious Trivia does history content as well, and in his Let's Plays, he talks about actual history a lot. Ooh, that sounds fascinating. I try to listen to a lot of YouTube videos while I'm at work. It helps kind of keep me going, and so maybe that'll be really cool. She starts to turn away when the man with the face of a survivor and the zeal of a convert tugs at her arm. Ah, probably the best Three Kingdoms history content on YouTube. Really? That's high praise. That is a lot of high praise. I like the difference in style from Shane and Cherry Bomb. Yeah, I'll check it out, and if it's really cool and entertaining, I'll show it to my girlfriend. few questions. Remember your name, Sam Watts? Coyote had a soft spot for him. When it comes to Total War 3 Kingdoms, I recommend just buying the base game. No DLCs are necessary to enjoy the game, unless you really want to play as the Yellow Turban Rebels. Okay. Interesting. I Yeah, let me see if I enjoy the core game first before anything else. Mrs. Kubota. All right, we're hitting at about 12:30. So, can I save? There you go. Look at all these. I did start that. That's so weird. Yeah, unfortunately, modern gaming is such that some games are a lot core mechanics behind. Yeah, that's frustrating. Thankfully, this game doesn't. But you're absolutely right in that some do. Yeah, see, there's the logo. All right. Well, I'll be heading for bed. It's been an amazing night. Thanks a lot. You're very welcome. This I was trying something new here. My hair's all messy. My hair's super messy. I was trying something new here, and I liked it. It was a very pleasant surprise. I thank you for the intellectual stimulation, the discussion of history, culture, religion, and video games for sure. You have a wonderful day. Have a good morning. I hope you have an amazing breakfast. And I'll see if I could check out your stream sometime. Feel free to stop by at any time. Like I said, I normally stream Thursdays with my girlfriend and we play classic Nintendo games. You're always welcome. It's definitely good to hear from you, and it's a pleasure to have made your acquaintance. You really helped make my night. Have a good day, and hopefully I'll see you again.